Welcome back to Breakfast with Bacon. We have Doug Bacon, managing partner of Throwing Words, whose last name inspired this series. Jay-Z, Julie Zalua in the background, making sure everything's working properly. And me, Lynn Ingersoll, your host. So welcome back. We're actually coming full circle. We're now 4 months into this COVID-19 pandemic, and we started this adventure really learning about each other. We were surprised that during this time, sometimes Doug was like, oh my God, I got this to do, that to do. Maybe we should hire somebody. Maybe I should go out. And Jay-Z was going, hey, over here, I could do that. And now we've shared some of the things we're learning on a regular and weekly basis so that you can pay attention in your world as to what you're learning and how it applies to you. What we wanted to chat about today is that song, You've Lost That Loving Feeling. An awful lot of us are ready to get back to that office, and we have lost that loving feeling for Zoom meetings and connecting. At the same token, it is really important. We're seeing execs just kind of fall off. Their intensity to connect with the teams has dropped off, and it's leaving teams just kind of floundering around out there. So Doug, thinking about strengths, what do you suggest to teams and groups that are kind of losing that loving feeling? How do we get back into loving working with each other?
Yeah, Lynn, I mean, as you said, totally just seeing a lot of that in my conversations with both executives and leaders and team members, that it's, we've kind of had enough of this, and whether it's a conversation with an executive who is back in the office, and you could just see how excited he was just to, even in the middle of our conversation, to see somebody walk down the hall and just say hello, and just all those those casual interactions that have just been missing for the last 4 months. And then you have, even the team members who at the beginning of all this talked about how they have never been as efficient and productive. We are all still human beings. We all are relational in nature, and we have needs there. And even those with lower needs around relationships, we're hearing that, whether it's, feeling a disconnection with their executive or the team, or just wanting to be in a space together. One of the first interview conversations that we had in the podcast was with Brian Leary, up at Highland Properties, and he was saying the same thing in terms of people want that connection, that with others. And so it's just been popping up in a number of conversations. And so a couple things. One, just kind of realize that, yes, we all have needs when it comes to those connections, and no, Zoom, as for all its productivity and efficiency, it's not good about the relationships. I mean, I was on a 6-hour Zoom call last week for a program I'm involved with that I absolutely love and look forward to those dates. And I even had to drop off early from that because I was just done. So know that that's real, know that it's happening. And so if you're a leader of a team, a couple of thoughts. One is schedule a Zoom call and without an agenda from a task or project standpoint. I have a colleague who did that, and his team's like, well, what's going to be on the agenda? He's like, nothing. We're just going to get together like we used to do and sit around a table and just connect and see how we're doing. So that's one opportunity to, and when you do that, kind of think about 3 questions. It's, checking in with them. How are you doing personally? How are you doing professionally? These are some of the things that were happening in those early few weeks, but, we gradually get back to business. So kind of bring that intention back. How are you doing? What are you most excited about working on this week? And then how can I help? Just those 3 questions. And then to model the vulnerability of talking about how you're handling that. And so I think that by creating the space for those 3 conversations to happen, as well as giving your team a line of sight into what's happening at the organizational level. Again, as you mentioned, there are some executives who are so focused on what's going on that, the communication is broken down. And so, but whether it's because I don't know what next week's going to hold, or I've got so much I'm trying to do, I'm not able to communicate that with my team. Just know that people need that information, particularly when they can't pick it up just by being in the office because they're working remotely. So that's a couple of thoughts there, Lynn.
I think that's really important. I know several of the groups that I've talked to, they feel like they're just not hearing much from their leaders. And I know at times as a leader, you really just are burnt out yourself on sharing what you don't even know. So allowing your team to draw out, just opening up a conversation. What would you like to know that I'm not sharing with you? Give them a chance to tap into you. And even if you don't have an answer, it allows them to let you know what they're thinking. I think it's okay to just say, yeah, I'm sick of this stuff too. I'm ready to do something different. And it looks like this is here to stay. So I love your suggestions about asking the 3 questions. And our goal for you today is really to just plant this seed that we're ready to get back to work. We're sick of all this. Think about your team. Think about the strengths on your team. And for those of you that are very task-oriented and needing a little relational attention from your executive or the team, reach out and, have those. Allow that space, especially for leaders. Allow to just hold the space for things to emerge. Sometimes, those hallway conversations are some of the most amazing on the way back and forth to the bathroom. It's almost like having an opportunity to just have a hallway conversation or a water cooler conversation, it sounds like. Doug, thanks. I think that's a great suggestion for us for next week. And we are going to chat next week with Breakfast with Bacon. We've got some amazing guests coming up. And oh my gosh, we're going to have coffee with Breakfast with Bacon. We have a new product that Doug will show off here in the next couple of weeks. All right.
Spoiler alert. Yep. Thank you, Lynn.
All right. Thank you. See you next week.